Hi, this is Eternal King here, bringing you another LOR video today. So I wanted to discuss and talk about, one of the champions that I think is underperforming right now, and that is Viego. So rather than just like talk about why I think the archetype isn't great, let's actually like build the deck that you would play in Eternal with Viego that I see people playing and talk about some of the weak points, right? So obviously this is auto-include. This just goes in the Viego deck. These are the Viego cards. A lot of the time I'll see people run eddy. I'm so used to typing in eddy, but it's Elder Dragon. So a lot of times people put in the Elder Dragon splash, and I don't think that does anything for this deck. I'm not gonna lie. Viego is already a very heavy costed archetype, and Aspect of the Dragon isn't really getting you anything for the Viego archetype that you don't already have access to naturally through Viego. You have a big card, you have big creatures, like the encroaching mists will be massive, whether they're summoned off the Hydra or the Viego. So like playing Elder Dragon doesn't do anything. The only thing it does is it gives you a deathless roll on invasive Hydra and Viego. So, but like there's already deathless in Shadow Isles. Like there's just you just run this card, right? And I agree, you do run this card. You run Legion of the Severed, but now you just have deathless without needing to run Eddy. So what is better to run than Eddy in a Viego deck if you were like tryharding? If you were tryharding with Viego, what do I think would be better? Well, to be honest, Vex is good. There's really nothing to put in the 4 mana slot in this sort of shell. So like Vex, Vex is a pretty solid option. So we can just put in the Gloom cards, right? I'm a little surprised no one's already thought of this. But yeah, you just start jamming Gloom. All the Gloom cards that you can. You just start jamming them in. Absolutely. So we'll just type in Gloom. Vex goes in. Glare goes in. Grotesque Gift goes in. This card goes in because again, you don't. It's gonna be it's guaranteed value off of something like a Vex deck most of the time. Vex Boat goes in. Grim is more optional. It depends on... you'd probably rather be on the Vengeance. Family Reunion goes in guaranteed. So, I would say that this is probably better. I would say that curving out a little more aggressively into the Viego is probably better, because the big weakness that I find with this deck specifically is that they tend to play... is they tend to play Fading Icon, right? So they play Fading Icon. This is like your archetypal Viego deck. And I'm just explaining to people who aren't as familiar with the game. You play Fading Icon, and then you play Carnivoran Soldier, and you just chump up the board. And it's like 4 wide over the course of 2 turns, and it's very good at delaying. But again, that's all it is it's just chopping up the board, and dedicated aggro players, good players, will get through Fading Icon into Carnivoran Soldier, and then you're like passing on 4, you're passing on 5, and then you play Viego on 6, because there's just like a whole lot of nothing going on. You're very reliant on like second Carnivoran Soldier draw to re-chump up the board. It's just like more chumpers, more chumpers, more chumpers. Let me get to my Viego 6 drop and play him with Deathless. And it's like, why are you trying that hard to do nothing when you can try that hard to do something? That's always my position in Eternal. So again, I'm not saying that Fading Icon is a bad card. You can still run Fading Icon in this deck. In fact, I think I do. Along with, Grotesque Gift. I think it's fine to run both. And the Landmark, etc. Glimpse is an auto-include in this deck 100% of the time. I think all of this is, kind of fine in terms of, like, playing a Vex Viego deck. Just having, like, on 2, you either play your Fading Icon or you play your Grotesque Gift. You're basically guaranteed to have one of those. And you have your Glares as well for card draw and just, like, delaying the game, Family Reunion, etc. Glimpse Beyond for draw 3. You can either play, your Carnivoran Soldier or your Legion of the Severed. It is a question of like how much you want to go in on the Vex. If the whole job of Vex and Vex Boat is just to delay the game until you get Viego Invasive Hydra, it is a question of like how much Gloom do you need to make that work. This is probably enough. I don't even know if you need that, quite frankly. It's probably this, and then yep. And then, yep. Yes. I think all of that is correct in terms of delaying out to a Viego game. And that at the end of the day is really all you need to do in order to be successful in a Viego deck. You know, you can even jam like Eradication, which is going to be a little better with some of the gloom effects you have going on here. And it's a question of like how much gloom you want in the deck as well, because then Eradication gets much, much better, similar to like a Frostbite deck. It gets much, much better with time. So again, I think there are constructions with Viego that can be effective at delaying the game until Viego drops on 6, but I don't think Eddy is it. Eddy is doubling down on a meme, essentially, and that meme is Deathless Viego. And like, you don't need to double down on it when you already have Legion of the Severed to guarantee the Deathless Viego. And then you also have things like, you know, resummon. You can just like resummon. Shadow Isles has so many redundant revive effects that like you could just resummon Viego a million different ways. Missed call, right? Like you just like to kill your Viego, you just miscall the Viego, and then you Braum wave at the person because that's what you do. That would be better than Eddy, because Eddy's just not doing anything for the deck other than the 1 in however percentile chance that you roll Viego Deathless, which again you can already guarantee with Legion of the Severed. So this is Eternal King signing out. You know, talking about the is a Viego bad discussion topic. I don't think Viego is bad. I just think that people build Viego too all in on one thing, which is Deathless Viego. I think that they should probably curve out to him a little more aggressively, especially now that we have access to just like good mid-range Shadow Isles tools, which we never had before. Like, you know, we had kindred, but you know, kindred required you to run very specific removal packages, hate spike, death's grasp, a lot of, you know, self-sacrifice creatures and things like that. The nice thing about gloom is that gloom just operates fairly independently of any other deck archetype. Like, it's just like a thing that you do to delay the game out until Viego drops, or whatever other win con you want drops. Like, Vex has proven to be the best out of the 3 new champions, statistically speaking. Like, Lux Illuminated Vex carries that deck. Vex is going into a lot of different shells because it is just flexible. You could run Vex Viego, you know, very easily, I think. I believe Grappler recently was running Vex Nora, right? And Vex Nora was one of the first things I thought of for the deck. Actually, I think I was playing Nora Lux Illuminated, but like similar ideas in terms of the new champions. But you know, Vex Viego might be better because you do get that redundant value in the end game, and then you actually have like a proper win con with the likes of like Atrocity, right, as a one of or what have you. So yeah, definitely I would say experiment. We're getting away from the Eddy meta, right? Just like it used to be, just like, okay, you want to play Viego, well, you put Eddy in the deck. You want to play Freljord, well, you put Eddy in the deck. You want to play Demacia, well, you put Eddy in the deck. Increasingly, this new set has diversified the meta to the point that that's kind of not as good anymore. I would highly suggest building proper deck archetypes and proper synergies and proper curves and proper control packages and, you know, proper combos. Just like all those things. All of those things you should be doing. I highly recommend it. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. You can even try the new, I've seen people playing around with Iron Conquest, right? You can try Iron Conquest with some of the redundant value. So you can Iron Conquest Fading Icon for more chumpers. You can Iron Conquest Grotesque Gift to just put them in an awkward situation. And when it comes to playing a new unit, you can, obviously Iron Conquest Camovorn Soldier is the main one. You can Iron Conquest Legion of the Severed for, again, more Deathless Viego. Hell, you know, Deathless Vex, Deathless Viego, Deathless Shadow. There's just a lot of possibilities there. Now, of course, once again, you can kind of get away with just because how much actual Bandle is here? Well, that's Bandle, but we don't really need that. That's Shadow. That's Shadow. Okay, so like again. You talk about the kind of Vex. If you want Eddy, if you really are dead set on the one Eddy, just run the Shadow Isles portion of Vex, and then don't bother with the rest of it. So there you go, one Eddy. So you got your one Eddy, your Viego, but now you also have like Vexes, and you just drop one Vex, and Then you can like drop the number of boats in terms of ratioing, so it's just like one boat and then more like eradication and removal package stuff, and like that would be fine if you're dead set on the eddy. I think you just go in for the Vex personally. That's how I build decks. But if you want to do like a three-way split with eddy, which is very popular, I think the three-way split is like Vex, Viego, eddy. I think that's the three-way split I would go with. All right, so that's a little discussion of like, is Viego bad right now, and I don't think he is bad. I think that Vex actually makes him far more, because the whole point of Viego is just like, okay, if I get to turn 6, I jam the most tempo stats. I'm the biggest of boys because I am Viego, and then I make the biggest of mists because I am Viego, and I am deathless, so you can't kill Viego. And then if you kill Viego, I resurrect Viego, and like that's the way the deck plays. But the fact that you have access to just like, here's just like a card, right? Here's just a good card. Vex is just a 5/4 fearsome that, you know, glooms something. She's just a good little emo girl, right? Good little emo bandle with Yordle. And actually, maybe I should build Yordle Tribal again. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna build Yordle Tribal with Vex, and that's gonna be a blast. But just talking about this subject before I get carried off with my creativity, I don't think Viego is bad. But I do think that the normal Elder Dragon Viego shell is not great. If you're dedicated to doing the Elder Dragon Viego meme, definitely jam 2 copies of Vex in there, and that's going to help you delay things out a little bit in terms of, you know, building the deck properly. So I highly recommend you just put in some Vexes, put in, you know, a comprehensive control package, meme less hard. It's just you'll find you'll have a better time playing the deck. And you won't just get like instantly run over. Alright, this is Eternal King, signing out.